Okay, so my memory's bad at the best of times, but as far as I remember, the next track, Puddlejumping, was actually originally based on a synthesizer patch I was making based on a book I was reading. Well, skim reading. It told you how to make this kind of synthesizer piano sound, which is like this. I thought that's a nice piano sound. What I'll do with that is I'll just play a nice little silly kind of arpeggio, you know, because arpeggios sound nice. So, you know, just playing this nice pretty little arpeggio. And I just kind of built it up from there, basically. Just playing this kind of cute little melody over the top of it. It's just a little silly cute thing. Very kind of like childhood naivety is kind of, you know, youthful fun, joy of life kind of a thing. And I just kept on building it up and up, and I think eventually I thought, I wonder how this would sound on a real piano. So, you know, I tried it on a real piano. And it sounded pretty good on that too, so I think in the end it was mostly just through indecision, this song. Sorry about it breaking up just now. I write all of my music on a fairly old, by today's standards, iMac, the kind that's white and plastic. And although it's sufficient for running Reason and record, because the propeller-head people seem to be quite frugal programmers, it's not so good at recording a high-definition video. So yeah, it looks like it's breaking up a bit, but you know, this is as good as we're going to get right now, I'm afraid. You know, this is very much making music on a shoestring budget. So yeah, lately I've just been kind of really into string quartet kind of sounds. So I take the piano piece and then I try and add a cello line to it. Then I try and add a viola and then try and add violins and I just kind of build it up and up and up. And again, it's just one piece at a time. Just do something very simple and something else very simple, but the Gestalt entity becomes much more than the sum of its parts. I mean, if we listen to, say, the viola on its own, you know, it's very simple. It's just one step away from block chords. I'm trying to get into the habit of avoiding block chords and doing something a little bit more interesting, but not too interesting for any given part. So this is what I came up with as a kind of compromise. Again, it's very nearly block chords, but in the end I just made the first one a bit longer and the second one a bit shorter, because that first note, where are we? Oh, C. That's also in the second chord, so which looks like it's probably F. So I figured, you know, I can extend that and it'll still sound good, and then it does. So, you know, just try and kind of push yourself a bit further each time. Like in my case, not using block chords because I'm that much of an amateur still. But, you know, don't go overboard. Just try and push yourself a little bit further each time. The other thing I've been thinking about recently and kind of interested in is intros. There's quite a few different ways of doing intros. I've recently been kind of cataloguing a few on my website, Music Memes. But the gist is you usually just take one existing part of the song, not the main part that it properly starts off with. In this case, the main part's the arpeggio on the piano. So I take something other than that and I just repeat it at the beginning for the intro, which in this case happened to be just a simple sine wave sound, which was kind of meant to sound a little bit like a theremin. So the intro is just this single sine wave. It's actually something I introduced at the very end of the song, both literally at the end of the song and in the end of the process of writing it. I thought, you know, this sound quite good with the kind of theremin style sounds over the top. So I just kind of, you know, played that over. It sounded quite nice in the background, you know, not like too obvious, but just there in the background, you know, you can make it out. And in the end I thought, yeah, that's actually quite a kind of, you know, an obscure part of the song in terms of it's not as in your face as the rest of it. So I tried that as the intro and it works very well. So then when it's introduced at the end, it's not like, hey, where's this thing come from? It's like, oh yeah, it's our familiar old friend has returned from before. So yeah, that's the trick I tried there, basically, the technique I tried. I basically think of everything as tricks. I don't mean that as a kind of insult. It's just, you know, an idea, a trick, a technique, you know, it's all the same kind of thing. It's a meme, it's something you combine with other ideas, and that's your whole total song. Another thing I did with puddle jumping in particular is I played everything live. I used to make music since the age of about 16 using Scream Tracker and Impulse Tracker, and for anyone who's not familiar with that, it basically involves on a QWERTY keyboard typing in the notes and using hexadecimal to type in you know, the volumes and the panning and all of that. So, you know, if you're a computer geek like me, it's great fun. But for anyone else, it's like, you know, why the hell would you do that? It's like you're making life hard for yourself. It's going to be the most difficult way of making music. So I'm still far too much in the habit of drawing on notes, like, you know, sequencing them into drum machines. So that's just where I'm trying to be a little bit more emotional, take a leaf out of Wendy Carlos and Vangelis's book and actually play the music live, be expressive and emotional. And I think, you know, this song is much better for it. It actually does sound much nicer.